Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Happy New Year. This is Scott Floyd, the Libertarian Professor. Welcome to 2017, folks. It is Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017. It is great to be back in the studio with you all. Thank you for joining me tonight from 7 to 9, Tuesdays and Thursdays, or thank you for listening to me on the replay at either RagingElePhantsRadio.com, BlackMarketLiberty.com, or Liberty Radio Texas. I want to thank you guys for joining me once again and make sure I got my little recorder going. We should be getting some new hardware, by the way, in the studio, probably tomorrow by Amazon. But anyways, today I want to talk about Russian hijackers. It's still in the news. It's the liberal narrative that is refusing to go away no matter what the evidence is showing. I mean, this getting to the point now where it's laughable and it's embarrassing, but yet the liberals are still buying this hook, line, and sinker. I mean, this thing gets more and more ridiculous as the liberals continue to cling to it. I mean, it is getting to the point now where we can't make this stuff up. And it's just amazing. It's really I think we're at a point in this country where there is such a massive disconnect between those of us who are paying attention and really those people who, no matter what facts are presented, no matter what objective information, no matter what empirical evidence is presented in front of them, they refuse to believe anything that doesn't fit into their worldview. And I've covered this before in previous shows, taking a look at, let's say, for example, that Russian hacking did occur during the elections. What does this really mean? And we broke that down for you guys. And we showed that, even if the Russians were involved in the hacking, it's still really not a big deal. Now, I know those of you out there, some of the liberals are going, of course this is a big deal. Of course, this is the first time you've actually cared, right, about this whole thing. And it's the first time that so many liberals are becoming all of a sudden overnet experts in cybersecurity. What's up, Pooter? Computers can do that? Yes. But we talked about the fact that, even if the Russians did manage to, quote unquote, hijack. Now, we're going to just let's take a look at the term hijack for a second here. We're going to completely deconstruct. Okay, we're going to completely deconstruct the left's argument regarding Russian hackers. Okay, we're going to completely deconstruct this because it's not that hard to do. It really isn't that hard to do. Let's assume for a second. Okay, let's just make this assumption. Which, by the way, the news sources are saying this didn't happen. But let's just give the liberals a bone. Give a liberal a bone. It reminds me of give a mouse a cookie. If you give a mouse a cookie, the mouse is going to want milk. If you give the mouse the milk, it's going to want a napkin, and so forth. But let's just give the liberals a bone. We're going to throw you a virtual bone. Hear me throwing you a bone here on YouTube. Let's say that all the evidence that's being presented so far actually doesn't exist and that the Russians did hack the election. What exactly do we mean by hacking an election? What does this really truly mean? Well, hacking election would have the connotation, would have the implication that the Russians somehow went into every voting machine. Not, it doesn't have to be every voting machine, but somehow they went into every state's kind of centralized voting warehouse where they counted the votes. Okay, so all of these Russians, right? They had to put this spyware, this virus, on every single voting machine, right, in every state. Now, of course, not all states use the same voting machines, and they have different software and they use different hardware. But let's ignore that for a second. Let's pretend that the Russians created specific software, right, for every voting machine that every other state was going to use. And they played with the number of votes. That's what hijacking means, right? What the liberals don't understand is when you're saying the Russians hijacked the election, what you're trying to say is that somehow the Russians were able to change the votes, specifically in the voting booth, that somehow the Russians were able to put spyware or malware or virus. By the way, malware is a generic term for viruses, spyware, Trojans, worms, all this other stuff, okay? But you're saying, when you say they hacked the elections, what you are really saying is that the Russians changed the actual votes put in. They're changing the actual votes cast. Now, this is typically a game that the Democrats play, right? The Democrats, vote early, vote often, bring in the dead. They can vote too. If you don't believe the dead can vote, then you're a necrophobic. You're biased against dead people. But this is what they're saying. If you believe the rhetoric that the Russians hacked the election, then this is what you're buying into, that you're buying into the fact that the Russians were able to digitally change votes cast, or the Russians were somehow able to delete votes or add votes that never occurred. That's, ladies and gentlemen, what hacking an election actually is defined as. That's the actual definition here. And if that happened, if that in fact happened, which, by the way, nobody's saying has happened. The left's not saying they did this, okay? This is not what the left is saying. The left is saying stuff that they don't understand the definition of the words for. But if the Russians did, in fact, hell, the Russians, any nation, okay, if another nation actually was able to hack in the definition sense, in the actual sense of changing the votes, adding votes, deleting votes, then yes, by all means, they have interfered with a sovereign nation's voting. And there should be severe, leading up almost, I would say, to war in repercussions to that nation, that state, that would have interfered with a free society's election. But this is, again, not what Obama, this is not what Clinton, this is not what the liberals are accusing the Russians of doing. They're not saying that the Russians went into the voting machines and added votes or subtracted votes or changed votes. That's not what they're being accused of. So let's get our definitions correct here. Let's get our operational definitions correct. Let's get our ducks in a row here. What the liberals are complaining about, what the liberals are saying the Russians did, is not hack the election. What the liberals actually are saying, without saying it, because hacking elections sounds much more inflammatory, right? If you just say the Russians broke into a private organization and exposed the corruption, exposed Hillary Clinton, okay, and the former DNC chair of collaborating and conspiring to destroy Bernie Sanders. If we said that, if we actually labeled it as it was, the people are like, well, what's going on? But what the Democrats and the liberals are accusing the Russians of doing is going into a private organization's computer system and exposing, and nobody's arguing this point, factual information, corruption in the DNC. And again, nobody's arguing the point that the DNC had this corruption there. They're also saying that the Russians hacked into a private citizen's campaign, the Podesta emails. Hillary Clinton, at the time of her running for office, was not an elected official. She did not hold any cabinet positions. She was not an elected official. She was a private citizen just like you and me and most of the people watching this. And the Russians, right, would have gotten into Podesta's emails and exposed yet more corruption. Again, nobody's arguing that the Russians have exposed lies. But what the liberals are claiming in their imaginary world is that somehow if the Russians broke into the DNC and somehow if the Russians broke into Hillary Clinton's campaign, that is somehow hacking the elections. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is not hacking elections. That is not even the definition of hacking an election. So even if the Russians, in fact, did this, it's still not hacking an election. It's exposing corruption in the DNC, which we all knew was there. Now, Republicans out there, don't get so confident. Don't start, kicking back and saying, yeah, look, there's tons of corruption in the Republican Party as well, isn't there? Out here in Texas, we got a big old investigation of some Republican going back to the Texas House who apparently had thousands of votes that didn't even exist in his county. So election fraud and corruption is not necessarily isolated to one party. Hell, in the Texas Libertarian Party out here, we had a little bit of a problem here with somebody breaking election code. So corruption, ladies and gentlemen, is not limited to one single party. It's not limited to a party. But what wound up happening in this one was that the Russians, if they in fact did this, just exposed something that journalists used to do in this nation not that long ago by exposing corruption, by exposing liars, by exposing people and shining a light on things. And that's, if they did it, what the Russians did. But when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is piling up that the Russians had nothing to do with even that. And you're going to love what CNN did. Oh, man, you want to talk about fake news sites? All of this, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back. You don't want to go anywhere.
Did you miss an episode of The Libertarian Professor, or just want to go back and listen to one of your favorites? Then visit thelibertarianprofessor.online. You can find links to our shows on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Once again, that is thelibertarianprofessor.online.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call Beatty AC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. Beatty AC and Heat. That's B-E-E-D-E AC and Heat.com. BeattyACandHeat.com.
'Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor radio show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Join the revolution. Introducing Texas National Outfitters, specializing in custom handmade cowboy boots and leather goods. TNO produces and sells the highest quality in Western wear, custom suits, hats, handmade jewelry, unique Texas gift items, and much, much more. Texas National Outfitters supports over 50 local Texas artisans that make the bulk of their products. They use these amazing and blessed artisans to create lifetime treasures that are available to you for purchase. These exquisite products will tastefully help you express your Texas pride. TNO, Texas National Outfitters, is not a big box store. It feels like Texas in there. They operate on Christian principles. They feed on supporting Texas culture. Caution, you could be their customer forever. Houston location, 8933 Katy Freeway next to Goods Barbecue. Austin location, 1115 South Congress, down the street from the Pink Dome. T-N-O.com or click the ad on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, the Libertarian Professor. When I want to listen to music that doesn't suck, I tune to blackmarketliberty.com. Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. I'm, of course, Scott Ford, your host for the Libertarian Professor, your home for conservative and libertarian talk radio. Today we're taking a look at the so-called Russian hacking. Now, as we talked about in the first segment, it is not hacking, okay? The Russian hacking is not actually hacking. For the Russians to actually have hacked the elections, then what had to have happened was that the Russians would have had to have gone into the voting machines in each state and changed the votes, changed how those machines registered the votes. The Russians would have had to have either added votes or taken away votes, but that's not what they're being accused of. That, ladies and gentlemen, is hacking. That would be Russian hacking. And nobody's saying they did that. What the Russians have been accused of by the left is simply exposing lies, exposing corruption from two private organizations. Again, this isn't even federal organizations, and I've had this conversation in previous shows. If the Russians were being accused of hacking a federal agency, if the Russians were accused of, let's say, hacking the FBI or hacking the intelligence community or hacking the military, that would be something entirely different. That is cyber warfare. Okay, that is something entirely different. That is a different level, okay, of rhetoric. That is a different level of bad. But the DNC and Hillary Clinton are private organizations. They're private organizations. So, for example, let's say that the Russians hacked me. Do I get special federal protection? Do I get President Obama banging the drums, kicking Russians out of embassies? No. And they shouldn't, because I'm a private citizen. And that's the same thing as the DNC. It's a private organization. And it's the same thing as Hillary Clinton. And by the way, even if we take that argument that it's a private organization, when countries, for example, China, okay, the current FBI director, Comey, has come out and said, it was a 60 Minutes interview, he said that there's two types of companies in America. There are companies that have been hacked by the Chinese and companies that don't know they've been hacked by the Chinese. We know, for example, the Chinese are hacking the hell out of United States companies. They're stealing intellectual properties. They're stealing trade secrets. You know, they're stealing from 3M. They're stealing from Cisco. They're stealing from technology companies. They're stealing secrets of technology, medical technology, infrastructure technology. Again, that is separate. That's bad as well. Even though it's not a government organization, they're still stealing intellectual property secrets. But the DNC has really no secrets that benefit the country as a whole. The DNC, just like the Republican Party, has secrets that are benefiting their party. They have secrets that their party has in order to help beat the other parties, but they're not secrets that benefit the entire country. So even looking at a private organization, the DNC and Hillary Clinton still doesn't qualify under special protection, which, by the way, the United States has. The United States has laws that offer special protections to private organizations that are part of critical infrastructures or critical technology sectors. So we do have laws that protect private organizations like 3M, like Cisco, other companies like that. But these companies have special purpose in this nation. They contribute to the military. They contribute to the government. They contribute to high-tech companies. And I'm trying to be careful what I'm saying here because, I got to walk this fine line right now. But the DNC and Hillary Clinton don't even fall under this protection. They don't fall under this protection either. So the idea that President Obama is getting all pissy with the Russians. I mean, basically, he's acting like a spoiled child. All right, he's acting like a child who's throwing a temper tantrum. His party lost; they've lost all control over this country, and he's pitching a fit like a spoiled brat. I mean, this is embarrassing. As an American, this is embarrassing to watch our country's leader, supposedly the leader of the free world, acting like a spoiled little brat that needs to have his bottom spanked and put in a corner. And this is embarrassing for this country to have. I mean, people are talking about, Trump being an embarrassment or Bush being an embarrassment. Obama is being a massive embarrassment right now. He's throwing a temper tantrum. Your party lost the elections. You're out of power. Get over it. Your corruption of the DNC and Hillary Clinton was exposed. But instead of taking it like an adult, like taking it like a man, what he's doing is he's punishing the Russians. He's kicking Russians out of embassies. He's closing embassies. He's putting all this crap. Now, to Russia's credit, to Putin's credit, he tweeted something very funny about Obama being a lame duck. Basically saying, you know what, we'll deal with your country once you're gone, once you're fired. Which, by the way, ironically, this is how bad this is. Okay, let's say you're out there and you're like, the Russians are evil. They're an evil nation. Israel, even Israel, okay, you got Russia who's going, we're done dealing with you until the new guy comes in. Israel's also taking that stance, going, look, we're done dealing with you until you get an adult in there. So we have Israel, we have Russia. Oh, yeah, by the way, we've got Turkey, who's also come out, and I talked about this previous episode. Turkey's come out and said, look, we've got evidence. We've got hard evidence. Turkey, by the way, is a NATO ally. We're obligated to go to Turkey's defense if they're attacked by Russia. Turkey's come out. This is last week of the last year. Turkey came out and said, Turkey's president came out and said, look, we have evidence that the United States, Obama's administration, has armed, trained, and aided ISIS and other terrorist organizations in Syria. So think about these three countries, Russia, Israel, and Turkey. These three countries are not typically in bed with each other, but all three of these countries are going, we're going to wait till the child leaves the White House and an adult comes in. And I'm not even a fan of Trump. But I got news for you. Trump's more of an adult than what we got in the White House right now. So the Obama administration is throwing a hissy fit. They're acting like spoiled brats about this whole thing. So here's something funny. Okay, this is from CNET. CNET, if you're not familiar with CNET, is a technology news organization. Okay, CNET is well respected because we got to worry about this fake news. CNET is a well respected technology news source. Okay, CNET is well known in the technosphere, in the technoblognosphere. These guys are reliable news sources. Okay, so CNET is covering this story about CNN. Okay, remember CNN, right? The respectable CNN, right? This is CNN News. CNN uses Fallout 4 screenshot and report on Russian hacking. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up, okay? CNN, right? This global news organization, this global news source that's supposed to be so reputable, so honest, so trustworthy. They use a video game to show Russian hacking. Now, nothing against the video game. Okay, Fallout 4 is awesome. It's Bethesda Studios. I've played Fallout 2, Fallout 3, love Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4 is the bomb. Okay, Skyrim, same company. But I wouldn't think of using, okay, I'm just one little guy here doing a show. I wouldn't think of using Fallout 4 or a video game to try to show news. I mean, come on. And that was CNN. And when we come back, guys, it gets even better. Okay, CNN, right? Fallout 4. When we come back, we're going to explain what's going on with that. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
This station and hundreds of other radio stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed. And because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Liberty Radio Texas, broadcasting from Liberty County, Texas. Tune in for the best political talk show, music variety shows, and all the country and rock we can cram in between. Here's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.libertyradiotexas.com or download the app onto your smartphone.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, your Libertarian Professor. Do you have a charitable event or other nonprofit event coming up? Would you like to have it advertised for free? Then go to thelibertarianprofessor.online. Click on the tab for Submit a Public Service Announcement. Your event will be part of our community calendar heard on the Libertarian Professor's radio show. So once again, if you have that nonprofit event or charitable event, go to thelibertarianprofessor.online and click on that link. Submit a public service announcement.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product, this is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing, no one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and the choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take a moment to thank YouTube for once again disabling monetization on a video. Really appreciate that, guys. I know you have a problem with conservative issues. Wow. Anyhow, thank you for joining me tonight. It's Tuesday, January 30th. If you're joining me from 7 to 9, don't forget Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. If you're not into staying up late, I guess 9 o'clock really isn't too late, but if you're not into staying up late, don't forget you can catch the replays on some amazing internet stations like RagingElePhantsRadio.com. You can listen to them online or download the app. You can also listen to me on BlackMarketLiberty.com and the newest one to the family, LibertyRadioTexas.com. I'd like to thank all of them for carrying the show. Really appreciate it. And so right now we're talking about the hacking, right? The Russian hacking. And of course, here's CNN. Here is CNN, who is this reputable news source, right? And so this has been reported by CNN. Other news agencies, by the way, have also been reporting on this because it's just absolutely ridiculous. This is absolutely asinine. It shows you really how our news organizations have just become laughable. I mean, they've become a joke. And so this is from CNN. CNN uses Fallout 4 screenshot and reporting on Russian hacking. We're not living in a post-apocalyptic nuclear shelter in the year 2287, but the news sure makes it seem like we're inside Fallout 4. By the way, for those of you who know what Fallout 4, just joining us, Fallout 4 is this amazing video game. You can get it on the Xbox One, the PlayStation, and it's part of the whole Bethesda Fallout series. It's amazing. It's fantastic. It's a great game. If you're into role-playing games, get this. It's just, I can't recommend it high enough, okay? So it seems like we're inside Fallout 4. In a CNN report on Russian hacking, first posted December 30th and updated Monday night, the news network used a screenshot from the popular Bethesda game as B-roll footage. That's B footage. By the B-roll is kind of background footage. Okay, so you have your interviews, you have your main footage, and your B-roll's filler. All right. So Bethesda's game is B-roll footage to demonstrate what hacking looks like. I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen. CNN used Fallout 4's Pip-Boy to show the world what hacking looked like. Oh, man. Yeah, I would have thought somebody somewhere would have caught that one. The 2-second screenshot might have resembled a cyber attack, but to the eagle-eyed Fallout 4 fans, it was pretty obvious where the random characters came from. The gaming screen grab was first spotted by Redditor on r/FO4, the Fallout 4 subreddit. CNN did not respond to requests for comments. Well, no, of course not. They're embarrassed. You know, especially right now when everybody's crying out, you know, get rid of fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news. And CNN does something that even the fake news companies wouldn't do. I mean, this is ridiculous. So the clip used a scrolling video of a computer in Fallout 4, which features bright green text against a black background. CNN has since replaced the clip, obviously, on its website. But it's still up on CNN's news YouTube channel. Oh, that is just a slice of awesome. That is just a slice of awesome. Now, the article, which is kind of funny, this comes from CNN. I'm pulling up the article right now. It's CNN Politics. White House announces retaliation against Russia, sanctions ejecting diplomats. Okay, and again, this is Obama's reaction. This is his response. Okay, he's acting like a spoiled little brat. He's acting like a spoiled brat. Again, there's no legal basis for expelling Russian diplomats for this, even if they did it. They did not attack a protected private industry. Okay, it's different if they attacked Cisco or they attacked 3M or they attacked some laboratory. Those are protected in U.S. law. But the DNC and Hillary Clinton, they're not protected. So this was the article. President Barack Obama took unprecedented steps Thursday to retaliate against alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election, prompting vows from Russian authorities that Moscow will respond in kind. The administration described Russia's involvement as, quote, significant malicious cyber-enabled activities and sanctioned 4 Russian individuals and 5 Russian entities for what it says was election interference. Again, I want to point out the only thing people are claiming that the Russians did was simply release documents from the DNC and Hillary Clinton showing how absolutely corrupt they were. Something that our news agencies should have done. Maybe if CNN spent more time investigating news as opposed to grabbing screenshots of Fallout games, they might have picked up on this too. The administration also ordered 35 Russian diplomats to leave the country, and 2 Russian compounds are being closed. This is the first time the names of Russian officials involved in the hacking have become public on the sanctions list. So this is the whole thing, right? They're angry at the Russians. So there's CNN doing a report, and they pull in Fallout 4. Now, here is where the entire conversation, okay, so we threw the liberals a bone. We said, okay, we'll throw you a bone. We'll say the Russians were involved. Okay, not a problem. But then we looked at what would be the implications. What would be the implications if the Russians did hack the election? Well, they didn't hack the voting machines. They didn't change the votes. Okay, so that's not really hacking an election. Did they interfere with an election? Well, again, let's assume for a second the Russians did, in fact, do something with the elections that they're being accused of doing. All they did was release information, right, about the corruption in the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign. And that's what they're getting accused of. They're getting accused of exposing. Let's be very clear here. This is what liberals are pissed off about. The Russians are being accused of exposing the corruption, the lies of the DNC and Hillary Clinton. They're not angry at him for making stuff up. They're not saying, well, these things were fabricated. These emails were fabricated. This information was fabricated. The Russians made up stuff. They're not even saying that. The liberals and the left are angry that the Russians might have released factual information that journalists used to uncover back in the day. That's what they're upset about. That's what they're all hissy about. That's what's triggered them. But see, here's where this even falls down further. Again, this is ridiculous at this point. This is where it falls down even further because news sources are coming out and saying, look, Russians had nothing to do with this. Nothing at all to do with this. DailyMail.com, the Assange, okay, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, okay, who, by the way, was hailed by the left under Bush for being a truth giver, for being a fountain of information, a fountain of truth. Interesting how the tides have turned when Julian Assange has pointed out the corruption in the left. So Daily Mail, this was published, let's see, on January 3rd, so that would be today. Assange says he's 1,000% confident that Russia was not the source for hacked Democrat emails, which were published by WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has said Barack Obama is trying to delegitimize the Trump administration by claiming the Russian government hacked Democrats' emails during the bitter presidential election. Now, I also you need to keep something else in mind here. No other presidency in my lifetime, no other outgoing presidency has been so nasty, has been so critical, has been so negative about the incoming administration. Remember during the debates when Donald Trump was asked, would you accept the results of the election? And Donald Trump really did put his foot in his mouth. He really did walk into this one where he's like, well, it depends. And the left blew up. I mean, it wasn't even the day after. It was when he said it, before he could take a breath in, the left blew up. They just exploded. They were like, oh, look at Trump. He's a fascist. He's evil, blah, blah, blah. He won't accept the results of an election. How dare he? How dare you, sir? How dare you? Well, fast forward. The election has happened. The people have voted. The Electoral College has voted. Trump is president, whether you like it or not. He is president. Now, personally, would I like to see Trump president? No, I would personally have loved to have seen Rand Paul president. But it is what it is. And so Donald Trump has been elected, and all of a sudden, what the left was angry about, what they were spitting mad about Donald Trump not saying he would accept the results of the election just blindly. Now they're doing it. They were whining about, the votes. Well, the popular vote doesn't matter. Go study an American history book. I don't know, maybe go back through 11th grade when U.S. history government's taught. I don't know, maybe it's changed grades by now. I don't know, maybe pay attention a little bit to how the country's been put together. maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes would show you we're not a centralized government. We're a federal government. We're a collection of states that have come together out of choice to create the United States of America. United States. Popular vote doesn't matter. It's about what states get carried by that person, electoral college, electoral votes. But the left couldn't even handle that. No. They couldn't even handle that one. I mean, even to the point where electors were getting their lives threatened. Electors had their lives threatened. Not just their lives, but the lives of family, friends, loved ones. This is the left, ladies and gentlemen, in all of its violent history and violent glory. You go back through history. You want to talk about American history? Go back through world history, just, I don't know, since the 20s. You want to take a look at the most violent individuals, the most violent movements, they are on the left. Hell, we even had a wave of terrorism named after the left. It wasn't the right bombing things. It wasn't the right doing these things the way the left did. Now, those of you out there, well, what about Oklahoma? Yeah, you had one guy. You want to start actually talking about terrorism? We can bring out a list of attacks perpetrated by the left compared to a much smaller list perpetrated by people on the far right. So this is just one more thing that the left is just having a hissy fit about that they can't accept. So WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has said Barack Obama is trying to delegitimize the Trump administration by claiming the Russian government hacked Democrat emails during the bitter presidential election. You know what, Obama, you should keep your mouth shut. Your time is over. You should respect what the other presidents before you did. You should respect what George Bush did. And I'm not a George Bush fan either. But George Bush, after being accused and attacked by Obama and his administration for 8 bloody years, kept his mouth shut. I got to give Bush credit for this. He took the high road. And when Obama came in, Bush didn't complain. Bush didn't whine. Bush manned up, knew his time was over, his contribution, history will now judge him, and he left. He walked away. Obama apparently thinks that we want more of him. I mean, this is the narcissism of this man. I mean, there was even an interview with him saying, well, I could win a third time. I could have won a third election. Only in Obama land does he think this. And so, this, you might be out there going, you're all over the place. This is all connected. This is all related because if we dealt with an adult in the White House, this hacking story would not even be a hacking story. This would not be in existence. If the left could have an adult conversation, we'd be having conversations right now about national security, national debt. We'd be having those conversations. Not, hey, you exposed some corruption on the DNC. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. 'Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor Radio Show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call BDAC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. BD AC and Heat. That's BEEDE AC and Heat.com. BDACandHeat.com.
You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product. This is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing, no one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and the choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Listen up, Texans. RER Nation has got to grow. We've got to have those RER app downloads. Android devices. Here's how to share the RER app. Get to your application manager through Settings, tap the RER app logo. There's your Google Play, right? Scroll down, see the share icon, hit it. Choose text or messenger. Pick a couple of Texas Patriots. Give a testimony in 160 characters. Send. iOS device folks, do the equivalent through the App Store. Let's get it viral. RER app.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Thank you for joining me this evening or during the day, whenever you choose to listen. Or, of course, you can listen to podcasts if you go to thelibertarianprofessor.online. You can find podcasts. We're on all the major podcasting platforms, including some minor ones. We're on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, all of them for your listening pleasure. So we're taking a look at this ridiculous hacking thing, the Russian hacking, right? And so Julian Assange apparently was on the Hannity show, Sean Hannity show, and told Hannity with 1,000% confidence that the Russian government was not responsible for emails stolen from the Democrat National Committee, the DNC, and John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. Those emails were published online by WikiLeaks in the lead up to the November 8th vote. Now, here's something that's also kind of funny. The left, okay, the left is trying to diminish the authenticity of WikiLeaks. They're trying to say WikiLeaks is not a real source of news. It's not a real source of information. Well, here's the problem with that little gem, okay? And as those of you who know, who watch the show regularly, or maybe you're brand new, if you look at the description, I have worked for the FBI. I have been an FBI employee. I have been a contractor with the CIA. I have had top secret clearance, which is now expired because I haven't used it in a while. But I've worked with some very interesting organizations in the intelligence community. And when Private Manning, this was years ago, when Private Manning dumped a ton of information on WikiLeaks, that's when WikiLeaks kind of came to the attention of the world at large, okay? And I remember getting an email from the Department of Justice. Okay, the Department of Justice. Now, for those of you not in the country, the Department of Justice, or for those of you in the country that might not be aware of how the federal agencies work, the Department of Justice is over the FBI. They're over the DEA. They're over ATF. Okay, they're kind of a big deal. The Attorney General is the prosecuting attorney for the United States of America. And I, just like everybody else in the FBI, got an email from the Department of Justice that said, "Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks at work. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks on break. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks at home. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks on your own time. WikiLeaks contains need-to-know classified information. This is from the Department of Justice here. WikiLeaks contains classified information, and need to know is in effect. What need to know, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, need to know is in the intelligence community, in federal government, if you don't have a need to know something, if you're not read in on a classification, on a compartment, then you don't get access to that information. You don't get access to it because you don't have a need to know. So it didn't matter that WikiLeaks published this stuff to the world. As an intelligence community employee, you could not go to WikiLeaks and read information even on your own time on your own computer. And then when I went to go work for the CIA as a contractor, something else happened. I think there was another dump of information on WikiLeaks. And we got an email again from the intelligence community that said, thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks at work. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks at home. Thou shalt not go to WikiLeaks. Okay? So the idea that WikiLeaks is not a reputable news source, that they publish phony information, is laughable. It is yet one more lie being circulated by the left. Look, your Department of Justice under President Obama, okay, has confirmed that WikiLeaks contains information that people in the intelligence community can't look at. In fact, if you are trying to get a job in the intelligence community, this is an interesting article, by the way. If you're trying to get a job in the intelligence community and you are going to WikiLeaks, that could jeopardize your ability to get a job. Why? Because you were looking at information you did not have the legal right to do. Technically, you're breaking U.S. federal law. If you're looking at classified information that was never declassified, you are breaking the law. And you're not Clinton, so that means you're going to get busted. So if you are a college student and you want to go work for the FBI, you want to go work for the CIA, you want to go work for the whatever, and you go through WikiLeaks and you are a regular reader of WikiLeaks, that could make the difference between you getting a job in the federal government or you never getting a job. So that automatically deep sixes the whole argument that WikiLeaks is not a source of information. Automatically deep sixes it. So those emails, right? Those emails were published online by WikiLeaks in the lead up to the November 8th vote. Democrats are complaining, they're whining. The hacks were a deliberate attempt to undermine Mrs. Clinton's campaign and boost support for Donald Trump. Also keep in mind, one of the emails that were leaked previously was Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State wanting to drone strike Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. The Department of State's secretary, the person in charge of the Department of State, wanted to drone strike private citizens. Of course, if you look at the number of citizens killed by Obama's drone strikes, this really shouldn't come as anything new. Last week, as the row intensified, Obama expelled 35 Russian diplomats from the country. They arrived back in Russia on Monday morning. Moscow denies any involvement in election-related hacking. So Russia's going, we weren't involved in this either. RT, Russia Today News. Now, keep in mind, it's Russia Today News, so they might be a little biased. This was published January 3rd. WikiLeaks vows to, quote, blow you away in 2017 showdown. Keep in mind, WikiLeaks doesn't publish everything they have all at once, okay? WikiLeaks has promised 2017 will be an even bigger year for leaks than 2016. Oh, boy. I wonder what they have on Obama. I wonder what's going to come forward on Obama, because Obama was saying he had nothing to do with these emails. All of a sudden, we found out that he was using a pseudonym and that he was involved, which is probably why Hillary Clinton was never investigated by the FBI, why they didn't press charges, why they did not seek an indictment. Because if the FBI sought an indictment against Hillary Clinton, then the Obamas would have gone down and so many powerful people would have gone down. But once Obama's out of office, he is a private citizen again. And he loses all of those special privileges and treatments that a president would have. He no longer gets presidential privilege. He no longer has access to these free federal lawyers. He doesn't get access to people that can drone strike folks. And now with Hillary Clinton not winning, he's really going to be in trouble. I can't help but wonder what deep, dark, foreboding secrets WikiLeaks has on Obama. When we come back, we're going to continue on. By the way, RT is not the only one reporting that WikiLeaks has some surprises for 2017. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Did you miss an episode of The Libertarian Professor, or just want to go back and listen to one of your favorites? Then visit thelibertarianprofessor.online. You can find links to our shows on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Once again, that is thelibertarianprofessor.online.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call Beatty AC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. Beatty AC and Heat. That's B-E-E-D-E AC and Heat.com. BeattyACandHeat.com.
'Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor radio show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Join the revolution. Introducing Texas National Outfitters, specializing in custom handmade cowboy boots and leather goods. T&O produces and sells the highest quality in Western wear, custom suits, hats, handmade jewelry, unique Texas gift items, and much, much more. Texas National Outfitters supports over 50 local Texas artisans that make the bulk of their products. They use these amazing and blessed artisans to create lifetime treasures that are available to you for purchase. These exquisite products will tastefully help you express your Texas pride. T&O, Texas National Outfitters, is not a big box store. It feels like Texas in there. They operate on Christian principles. They feed on supporting Texas culture. Caution, you could be their customer forever. Houston location, 8933 Katy Freeway next to Goods Barbecue. Austin location, 1115 South Congress, down the street from the Pink Dome. T-N-O.com or click the ad on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, the Libertarian Professor. When I want to listen to music that doesn't suck, I tune to blackmarketliberty.com. Hola, mi amigos. Welcome back to the show. I am, of course, Scott Ford, the Libertarian Professor, your home for conservative and libertarian talk. This show, we're talking about the Russian so-called hacking of the elections. Oh, man. Of course, this didn't actually happen, folks. Okay? We talked about this in the first hour, what election hacking really would be. Okay? What election hacking, what it would really be is for the Russians to have planted malware, malware being a generic term for viruses, spyware, trojans, worms, hijacks, all that fun stuff, right? They would have had to have planted malware on every single voting machine in the country. And this malware would have, again, if we're talking about hacking an election, it would have caused votes to be changed. It would have had to cause additional votes to be taken or votes subtracted, but nobody's saying Russia did that. So the other question is, well, did Russia hack federal agencies? Well, no, Russia did not hack federal agencies. Nobody's accusing Russia of hacking federal agencies. They're not saying they hacked the U.S. government. They're not saying they hacked the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, anybody. Well, is Obama accusing the Russians of hacking delicate infrastructure organizations that are protected under federal law? No. There's no evidence, and nobody's saying that Russia hacked, 3M or Cisco or medical laboratories or anything like that. They're not saying that either. These are private organizations that are protected under federal law. The accusation, let's be clear for your liberal friends out there. Let's be clear what the accusation is. The accusation, which Obama has acted upon as president of the United States, which has kicked out Russian diplomats, okay? Has kicked out Russian diplomats from the United States. This is typically what countries do before they go to war. What they have done, what they are being accused of by the left, is going in and hacking a private, unprotected organization, the Democrat National Committee, the DNC. They're not protected under federal law against hacking. Okay, they're not a U.S. vital interest organization. They're also being accused of hacking Hillary Clinton's campaign, a private citizen's campaign. So even if the Russians did in fact hack the election, they didn't go after the federal government, which means President Obama has no business bringing the country into this mess. He has no business speaking on behalf, because as he's speaking about this, as he's acting, he's not acting as the United States president. He's not acting at the benefit of all United States citizens. President Obama, let's make no mistake about this, is acting on behalf of the DNC and Hillary Clinton, and that's not his damn job. You are president. Thank God you're almost out of there. President of the United States of America. Over the entire country. You're supposed to represent all the people in this nation. Now, why should you start now when you only got a few days left? I mean, this is par for the course. But let's be very clear. If we're talking about who is acting inappropriately, even if the Russians hacked the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign, Obama is the one acting completely inappropriate by bringing the United States country, the government, into this little mess. Russia did not hack the United States government. They did not hack vital United States interests and companies. They hacked private organizations and a private citizen. If Obama wants to be pissed as a Democrat and speak as a Democrat, that's fine. But you, sir, don't get to speak as the president of the entire people of this nation and kick Russian diplomats out. You're acting like a juvenile. But even then, even assuming the Russians did it, more and more evidence is coming out that says they had nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever to do with it. Now, here's my question for the liberals out there. Here's my question for the Democrats out there. By the way, I'm sure you're not watching at this point in time because, logic. But here's my question for you Democrats out there. Let's say that the Russians, we prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, the Russians had nothing to do with it. How do we prove it by a shadow? Some Democrat somewhere stands up and goes, I did it. I couldn't stand Hillary. I loved Bernie Sanders, didn't like what he did, and so you know what? I blew the whistle. Boom, I did it. Let's say that happens. Let's say we get evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt Russia had nothing to do with this. What should be the consequences to President Obama? Because everybody's telling him Russia didn't do this. News organizations, cybersecurity experts are saying they had nothing to do with this. Obama is acting as the mouthpiece of the Democrat Party. So if we can prove, in fact, that Russians had nothing to do with it, what should be the consequences against Obama? You know what? Lock his ass up. Bring federal charges against him for abusing his position. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of these elected officials getting away with things that any other private citizen, Republican and Democrat, would do, they would get arrested. Let's start holding some of these jokers accountable. And I got a feeling, in 2017, we're going to see some of that because Julian Assange is promising in a tweet, okay, if you thought 2016 was a big WikiLeaks year, 2017 will blow you away. This could be huge. This could be absolutely huge. Could be absolutely huge. It'll be interesting to see what comes up. By the way, now pulling from a different news source, this is from Zero Hedge, published January 3rd, so that would be today. So we're not even talking about RT anymore, okay? So now we're at a different news site, Zero Hedge. Ahead of Julian Assange interviewed tonight in Fox News with Sean Hannity, in which let me try that again with some good teeth here. Ahead of Julian Assange interviewed tonight in Fox News with Sean Hannity, in which, as we previewed last night, the WikiLeaks founder will again deny on the record that Russia was a source of hacked Democrat emails, stating that, quote, our source is not the Russian government and it is not a state party. What he is basically saying is like, look, Russia had nothing to do with it, nor was it done by any other country. Now, I got a question for you. For those of you liberals out there, for those of you who refuse to see reason, what motivation does Julian Assange have to lie about this? Julian Assange, ladies and gentlemen, is already in exile. He is in exile. He is not breathing fresh air. He is in exile. He is in an embassy living in exile. If he steps outside that embassy, he will be arrested. If he steps out of that embassy, he'll be lucky if he's arrested. He'll probably get killed. In fact, the only reason why he's not dead right now, by the way, there have been attempts on his life. The only reason why he's not dead is because technically he's on foreign soil at an embassy. So why would Julian Assange lie? The guy literally has nothing to lose. Nothing to lose at this point in time. There's nothing for him to lose, nor is there anything for him to gain. If Julian Assange turned and pointed a finger at the Russians, said, yes, it was the Russians, he could actually gain something. If Julian Assange says it was the Russians, there would be something to gain for Julian Assange, which would be the president of the free world until later this month would not be pissed off at him, would not be gunning for him. The Clintons, who have a pile of bodies in the wake of their careers, wouldn't be angry at them. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally wouldn't want to get on the Clintons' bad side. Now, it's different to talk about them. I'm talking smack about them. But it's different when you really affect them because they could care less what really any pundit has to say. So why would Julian Assange lie about this? There's everything for him to gain by pointing a finger at the Russians. But he's not. So he's saying, quote, our source is not the Russian government and it is not a state party. WikiLeaks decided to engage in some creative marketing and on Monday afternoon promised that 2017 will be even bigger year for leaks than 2016, which saw the whistleblower site publish thousands of documents exposing the dirty laundry of the Clinton campaign, U.S. political secrets, covert trade deals, and private communications from global leaders. Quote, if you thought 2016 was a big WikiLeaks year, 2017 will blow you away. WikiLeaks tweeted on Monday, giving no hint as to what may be in store. Well, what could they possibly expose? What could they possibly bring to light? What could be bigger than the absolute corruption of one of the largest political parties in this nation? What could be bigger than exposing the corruption on one of the most powerful political families in the world? This is going to be interesting, folks. Now, here's going to be here's what's going to be funny. Here's where things are going to get funny. What if Julian Assange releases information about Donald Trump? What if Julian Assange releases information regarding Donald Trump? What's going to be funny is all of a sudden we're going to have this flip-flop, right? All of a sudden, every Trump supporter who's going, Julian Assange, the Clintons are evil, Julian Assange is all of a sudden going to go, oh, Julian Assange is lying. And all of a sudden, all the liberals, okay, all the liberals that have been screaming, Russia, Julian Assange is fake, all of a sudden, they're going to be coming out of the woodwork going, no, man, Julian Assange, man, he's my brother. I got his back, bro. It's going to be a flip. Meanwhile, the rest of the country, people like me, who are seeing this whole thing, are going to go, what the hell just happened here? You guys were upset at him because he exposed the DNC and Hillary Clinton. Now you're happy because he's going after Republicans. Look, folks, the party that's in power in 2017 and for the next 2 years at least are the Republicans. Do you think that Julian Assange is not going to expose dirty secrets from the Republican Party? Do you think the Republican Party doesn't have any dirty little secrets? Oh, please. Please. The Democrat Party, the Republican Party are just as corrupt as each other. They are both so corrupt. From the federal all the way down to the state. It's going to get awkward for those of you liberals out there when Julian Assange or WikiLeaks starts pointing out corruption in the Republican Party after you spent months lambasting him and WikiLeaks. You're going to be like, oh, well, now what do we do? We've been criticizing their credibility. All of a sudden, they're publishing things. Yeah, watch your Facebook, watch your Twitter. All of a sudden, all these people have been bashing WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. The minute they post something negative about the Republican Party or Trump or conservatives, all of a sudden, all of those liberals that you're watching that are ripping WikiLeaks are going to be like, oh, yeah, it's great, man. The truth, hallelujah. The truth, ladies and gentlemen, will set you free. Oh, that's my little prediction. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after these messages. You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
This station and hundreds of other radio stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed. And because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Liberty Radio, Texas, broadcasting from Liberty County, Texas. Tune in for the best political talk show, music variety shows, and all the country and rock we can cram in between. Here's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.libertyradiotexas.com or download the app onto your smartphone.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, your Libertarian Professor. Do you have a charitable event or other nonprofit event coming up? Would you like to have it advertised for free? Then go to thelibertarianprofessor.online. Click on the tab for Submit a Public Service Announcement. Your event will be part of our community calendar heard on the Libertarian Professor's radio show. So once again, if you have that nonprofit event or charitable event, go to thelibertarianprofessor.online and click on that link. Submit a public service announcement.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product, this is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing, no one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and a choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Looking forward. I got a shipment coming in. Should be here tomorrow. A new digital recorder, new Tascam. For those of you that follow me for a while, you know I used to do the show Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 on Raging Elephants Radio. Now that I'm doing consulting work for IT security stuff. Yeah, kind of funny how I do consulting work for IT security, and we're talking about the whole cyber hacking out of Russia. Maybe I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Anyways, ever since I started doing consulting, I had to move the show to a Tuesday, Thursday evening format. And now that we started January, it's awesome, man. I took kind of December off from kind of a political, kind of step back a little bit after the elections. And new year, all revving to go, all revving to get out there, start holding folks accountable, covering different events, all that good stuff. So that is coming down the road. And a new recorder, by the way, a new digital recorder is going to allow me to do that, which will be really, really cool. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Although I got to tell you, with the use of YouTube, I'm wondering if maybe I should get a video recorder. And that way I can post the videos on the YouTube as well. So we'll see how that works out. We'll one step at a time. So we're taking a look right now at the whole Russian hacking thing, right? The whole Russian hacking blah, 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 right? And it's my contention that, it's not being defined correctly. If it was, in fact, Russian hacking the election, then they would have actually hacked the election. They would have gone in and hacked the voting machines. They didn't do that. Nobody's accusing them of doing that. So the other question is, well, did they hack the government? Well, no, they didn't hack government. They didn't hack one government agency. The Chinese do all the time, but Russia did not do it in this case. So the next question is, well, did they hack any protected private organizations? Did they hack any protected, under U.S. federal law, did they hack any protected kind of companies? They hack any infrastructure organizations, like electric companies, okay? Electric power companies, they're private organizations, but they're protected under federal law because we don't want a power grid to go out. So they're protected. Okay, if you hack into a power company, you're going to see the FBI show up at your door. Did they hack into Boeing? Did they hack into other aircraft manufacturers, which is also protected? No, they didn't do that. Did they hack into a weapons manufacturer? No, they didn't hack into those. Did they hack into technology companies? No, they didn't hack into those. What did they get accused of hacking into? They got accused of hacking into the DNC, private organization, not protected by the way under federal law when it comes to a protected source. And they hacked into a private citizen's campaign, Hillary Clinton. Now, I know Hillary Clinton's special. You know, she's royalty. She's a queen. But she's not specially protected by the government, and yet Obama, kicked diplomats out. So even with the argument that Russia supposedly hacked the elections, no, they didn't. Even what the liberals are saying they did, if the Russians did, they didn't do anything to hack the election. If anything, they, again, and I've said this before, they released information regarding the corruption of the DNC. They released information about the corruption of Hillary Clinton. Now, this also should tell you something about the left. Because it was one scandal after another scandal after another scandal. Look, when Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down as DNC chair, because it was discovered that the Democrat National Committee, the Democrat Party at the national level, sabotaged Bernie Sanders' campaign. When that was exposed, let me tell you what the proper response should have been by liberals and Democrats. When the Democrat Party was exposed on attacking one of their own, the proper response for the liberals out there should have been, we're not putting up with that. We're not going to put up with that. You're not doing that to us. And you know what? We're going to go after the Democrat Party, and we're going to go after Hillary Clinton. See, the anger should have come from the liberals to begin with. When the liberals discovered that Hillary Clinton and the DNC attacked Bernie Sanders, the anger, the absolute anger should have come from the left. When the Democrat Party started pulling that super delegate crap, all of a sudden the Democrats are concerned about, popular vote. Oh, popular vote. They got more votes. Where were you when Bernie Sanders was getting the popular vote, but the super delegates were going to go to Hillary Clinton, thus nulling your voice? Where were you then? Where was the outrage at that point in time? See, that's where the outrage should have happened. For those of you who are liberal out there, let me clue you in. Let me teach you something. When the Democrat Party was caught doing that, that's when you should have got angry. That's when you should have, stepped up. Instead of protesting Donald Trump rallies, instead of protesting Donald Trump events, which, by the way, helped him win, I almost thought it was Donald Trump paying these people because it was so perfect. All those protests, I almost thought Donald Trump was paying them to protest because it gave every single event gravitas. Every single Trump event got national headlines, not because of Donald Trump, but because of the protests. You morons gave him free press. What you should have done is ignored him, and you should have been protesting Hillary Clinton during the primaries, saying you didn't want any part of that and bring back Bernie. I got a feeling if Bernie Sanders had been the nominee, he might have won. Let's be completely here. Let me just kind of what if situation. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind, except the true believers, that this election was fueled by fear. People voted for Hillary because they did not want Trump. People voted for Trump because they did not want Hillary. But what about Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders is relatively harmless. Yeah, he's a socialist, but Bernie Sanders had morals. Bernie Sanders didn't have a body count. Bernie Sanders, even though he was a nutjob socialist, seemed like a decent guy for a nutjob socialist. He would not have driven the fear and the hatred that Hillary Clinton drove. See, you lost the election because of Hillary Clinton. People voted against her, just like people voted against Trump. Very few people actually voted for Hillary because they were like, yay, Hillary. And very few people voted for Donald Trump because they were like, yay, Trump. It was, I don't want that person to win. And if Bernie Sanders has gotten the nomination, it might have been a different story. You might be having somebody else going into the White House soon. Because you can't really draw up hatred and fear against Bernie Sanders. Yeah, again, he's a nutjob socialist. But he's kind of a goofball, you can't get angry and you can't be scared of somebody like Bernie Sanders. And so the left, instead of rallying behind really the true left person, Bernie Sanders was the leftist here. He was the leftist liberal. He was the socialist that you wanted. Hillary Clinton was not. Okay, if you want to look at who should have been representing the Democrat Party the way it is now, the Socialist Party, Bernie Sanders was your guy. Instead, this person's got a vagina. I guess it's their turn. Let's put them in power. It's obviously her turn. So we're going to give her a shot. No, you didn't do that. You were too busy protesting Donald Trump and really helping him win. Soapbox there. Anyhow, the narrative is falling apart, guys. The narrative about the Russian hacking is falling apart. This is the Daily Caller. Tech companies cast doubt on DHS, that's Department of Homeland Security, FBI's Russian hacking report. Now, keep in mind, by the way, the intelligence community can't even agree, okay, on whether or not Russia was the ones behind this. Okay, the CIA and FBI are in disagreement about whether Russia had any part of this. So there's even doubt amongst the intelligence community. So code identified by the Department of Homeland Security and Federal Bureau of Investigations as being used by Russian intelligence service is an outdated malware developed by Ukrainians that can be downloaded online, according to a blog post by the founder of World Fence. By the way, this is well-known. Unethical bad guys. So if the Russians, okay, the Chinese hack corporations and hack government, okay? That's the Chinese bag. They like to hack companies and they like to hack government. The Russian hacking thing is more of the mafia, okay? Russia is more of organized crime. They're interested in making money. They're interested in blackmail. They're interested in crypto attacks. They're interested more in the mafia organized crime aspect. So, yeah, Russia's involved in cybercrime, but they're involved in the mafia portion of cybercrime, while China is involved in stealing national secrets. And if you didn't know that, and you're still saying Russia hacked, then you obviously don't know what the hell you're talking about. So the fact that malware is sold by Russian organizations is no big surprise, okay? So this is keeping with what we know in cybersecurity circles. World Fence is a plug-in designed to protect users of WordPress, love WordPress, by the way, that has been downloaded over 1 million times. A report released last Thursday by DHS and FBI titled Grizzly Step contains a PHP malware sample which World Fence employees analyzed. Our security analysis spent a lot of time analyzing PHP malware because WordPress is powered by PHP. And if I'm going over your head, don't worry, we're going to get to the point. The blog post written by World Fence founder and CEO Mark Munder said in a post Friday, quote, "We use the PHP malware indicator of compromised IOC that DHS provides to analyze the attack data that we aggregate to try to find the full malware sample." Basically what we're saying here, okay, is that much of the evidence tying Russia to hacking efforts have been criticized by cybersecurity experts. One link tying Russia to leaking of Democrat National Committee emails is the documents leaked by hacker Guccifer 2.0, were modified to username Felix, whatever, I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name, the man who founded the Soviet secret police. Cybersecurity expert Jeff Carr wrote in a blog post, quote, "Okay, raise your hand if you think that a GRU or FSB officer would add Iron Felix's name to the metadata of a stolen document before you release it to the world while pretending to be a Romanian hacker." So basically what we're saying here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the cybersecurity world, and believe me when I say this, the cybersecurity world in the private industry is leaps and bounds ahead of the FBI cyber and DHS cyber. Well, Scott, how can you say that? Simple. I've worked with the FBI cyber. And I'm telling you right now, private industry cybersecurity organizations are light years ahead of the FBI. Now, I'm not telling you anything that's secret. I'm not telling you anything that's proprietary. I'm not telling you anything that a black van is going to pull up in front of my house and knock on my door. Current FBI Director James Comey, in an interview recently, has said the FBI has made leaps and bounds, but it's like playing high school soccer while the rest of the world is Olympic level. The fact that the U.S. cybersecurity defense is a joke, is pathetic, is a laughing stock, is not secret. And so when private security firms are coming forward and saying this doesn't equate, I personally am going to believe private security firms before I believe an organization and an agency that is still using Windows XP and Windows 2000 and still has DOS-based programs because they can't figure out how to upgrade the system without crashing the entire federal agency. Just saying. We're going to be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. 'tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor Radio Show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call Beatty AC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. Beatty AC and Heat. That's B-E-E-D-E AC and Heat.com. BeattyACandHeat.com.
You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product, this is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing, no one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and the choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Listen up, Texans. RER Nation has got to grow. We've got to have those RER app downloads. Android devices. Here's how to share the RER app. Get to your application manager through Settings, tap the RER app logo. There's your Google Play, right? Scroll down, see the share icon, hit it. Choose text or messenger. Pick a couple of Texas Patriots. Give a testimony in 160 characters. Send. iOS device folks, do the equivalent through the App Store. Let's get it viral. RER app.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. I'm, of course, Scott Ford, your host for the Libertarian Professor, your home for conservative and libertarian talk radio. I want to thank those of you joining me tonight, this evening, if you're listening to or watching me live. Don't forget, we are broadcasting live right here on this YouTube channel Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. You can catch us here on YouTube, of course. I'm loving, by the way, how YouTube has demonetized some of my videos. Love that. Thank you guys so much. Love that freedom of expression, freedom of speech. If you don't catch me in the evening, then you can, of course, catch me on some great internet radio stations, including RagingElephantsRadio.com, BlackMarketLiberty.com, and the new one to the family, LibertyRadioTexas.com. So we're talking right now, pretty much the show's been about the whole Russian hijacking bull, this whole lie that's been perpetrated by the left. And the sad thing is that the left, the progressives, are really buying this thing hook, line, and sinker. I mean, they are believing this thing like it's gospel truth. And that's the scary part, folks. This is the scary thing. Okay, in our society, in this day and age, it's simple. Ignorance is a choice. Ignorance is a choice. It takes 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to find news sources. It takes 5 minutes to research information. I mean, here I've spent 2 hours. Okay, I've repeated some information because that's what you're supposed to do in radio, right? Because people tune in, tune out, tune in, tune out. But just in the show alone, I've completely deconstructed this entire Russian hacking theory. We've completely dissected it, broken it down, destroyed it. Even if we give liberals what they think happened, we still explain it's not hijacking or hacking the election. But more and more evidence is coming forward. More and more evidence is coming forward that this is just total baloney. Town Hall. Cheryl Atkinson. No, Russia didn't hack our elections. This was posted today, January 3rd. It's another day of hysteria over Russia hacking the 2016 election from the left, of which there is zero evidence to back up the claim. I would go, Matt Vespa is the one who wrote this article. I would go even further than that, Mr. Vespa, and say there's evidence to the contrary. There's growing evidence to the contrary. There's growing evidence that exonerates Russia. So it's not just simply a vacuum of information. It's not like there's a lack of information one way or the other. There's growing evidence that says Russia had nothing to do with this. I mean, it's one thing to make conclusions when you have no evidence. Okay, that's still stupid, and it shows a lack of intelligence and critical thinking skills. When you make conclusions based off of lack of evidence, when there's no evidence one way or the other, and you go, it must be this because that's the way I feel, that shows you're a moron. But when there is actually no evidence supporting your claim, and there's growing evidence against your claim, that takes a special kind of moron. I mean, that's a special type of stupid. You know, Michael Savage, who I enjoy, Michael Savage, very abrasive, by the way, but man, the guy is right. Michael Savage wrote a book years ago, which I read. And in fact, I read it before my oldest son was born. He's 11 years old right now. And it's Liberalism as a Mental Disorder. And the book title is kind of inflammatory. I mean, liberalism is a mental disorder. Basically, you're saying people who are liberal have a mental disorder. But, you know, when you start looking at this, for example, the Russian hijacking thing, when the evidence is growing to the contrary and there's no evidence supporting this, when the intelligence community can't even agree and the intelligence community is not making an official statement and they conflict each other when they actually start talking, and again, there's growing evidence that Russia had nothing to do with it, and you still have liberals who are going, no, Russia, despite overwhelming and growing evidence to the contrary. What else is that? That's got to be a mental disorder. Look, I've run into two types of liberals in my life, and I'm able to tell quickly which one's which. There are the liberals who were brought up in a liberal upbringing, and they don't know any difference. They've never been presented with information to expand their worldview. They have the system of beliefs that have been planted in there by their parents, their guardians, whatever. And this is what they grew up in. And these liberals are typically younger. These are the liberals going into college, okay? High school and college. And these are the liberals that when you present information, when you present facts, when you present critical thinking skills, and you challenge the worldview with information, with facts, with objective information, these are the liberals that go, oh, I did not know that. And their worldview starts to change. They start to evolve. They start to mature. Those are the liberals I like to work with because they can grow. But then you got the other kind of liberal. These are the liberals who are 40, 50 years old with that stupid ass little ponytail, with the Birkenstocks, that think Whole Food is the best place around, that think deodorant is evil, that they can't grasp facts. And when they're presented with information that's based in reality, that conflicts with their worldview, they shut it down. They refuse to believe anything to the contrary. For example, if you're black and you still believe that Obama is the best thing that ever happened to the black community, then you're either one of two things. Either A, you aren't aware of Department of Labor statistics that show blacks were better off under George Bush than they were under 8 years of Obama. Maybe you're not paying attention to Louis Farrakhan saying that Obama's been one of the worst things that happened to black people. Maybe you're not paying attention to civil rights leaders in cities who are saying Obama was not what we expected and has betrayed us. Maybe you're not aware of that. Now, maybe you've heard about this and you're saying, you know what, Scott, I don't believe you, but I'm sure as hell going to look up that information. I like you. I like you. If you're going to do that, if you're going to challenge me and look up this information to see whether or not I'm lying to you, I like you. We can have a beer. We can go grab coffee. I will call you friend. But if you're watching this and you go, oh, well, you're just being racist. You're being a racist. You have no idea. You would say opposite of Obama anything because you hate him because he's black. If you're that person, you're a moron. You have a mental disorder. You have connections that aren't firing correctly. You have a disease in the brain. Seek help. If you're not willing to do 5 minutes of research to verify what I'm saying is true or false, then again, you're a special type of idiot. You're a special type of moron that really doesn't belong in adult conversations. Hell, I'm not sure I'd let you sit at the adult table at Thanksgiving dinner. And so it's funny because as this evidence comes pouring out, as more and more evidence comes out that the Russians had nothing to do with this article and other ones are talking about this. You know, the alleged allegations that the Russian-backed hackers penetrated the Democrat National Committee and Clinton's campaign chairman John Podesta's emails and gave that information to WikiLeaks. This is not the same as hacking the election, which has become one of the most absurd pieces of fake news out there. As Guy wrote earlier today, a poll, this is sad, this is the mental disorder, okay? A poll noted how a majority of Democrats, which is probably why they're Democrats, actually think that Russia stuffed the ballot boxes for Trump. This is even further, folks, into the mental disorder area. Because nobody, even the Clintons, even Obama, is suggesting, has said that the Russians hacked the polling. They hacked the machines. They're not even saying that. But yet, in liberal land, a place where everybody gets free ice cream and ponies with sprinkles, this has become the truth. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. In fact, I don't want people to take my word for it. I could be lying to you for 2 hours, Tuesday and Thursday. But you know what? At the very least, maybe you should research it. Maybe you should try to fact check it. And I don't mean Snoops. Snoops is a whole different story. But do some research, people. Pull your head out of your rectum. Too many people have cranial-rectal disease right now. And again, like I said, in this day and age, ignorance is simply a choice. Which are you choosing? We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Did you miss an episode of The Libertarian Professor, or just want to go back and listen to one of your favorites? Then visit thelibertarianprofessor.online. You can find links to our shows on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Once again, that is thelibertarianprofessor.online.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call BDAC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. BD, AC and Heat. That's BEEDE, AC and Heat.com. BDAC and Heat.com.
'Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor Radio Show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Join the revolution. Introducing Texas National Outfitters, specializing in custom handmade cowboy boots and leather goods. TNO produces and sells the highest quality in Western wear, custom suits, hats, handmade jewelry, unique Texas gift items, and much, much more. Texas National Outfitters supports over 50 local Texas artisans that make the bulk of their products. They use these amazing and blessed artisans to create lifetime treasures that are available to you for purchase. These exquisite products will tastefully help you express your Texas pride. TNO, Texas National Outfitters, is not a big box store. It feels like Texas in there. They operate on Christian principles. They feed on supporting Texas culture. Caution, you could be their customer forever. Houston location, 8933 Katy Freeway next to Goods Barbecue. Austin location, 1115 South Congress, down the street from the Pink Dome. T-N-O.com or click the ad on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. As long as you're a critical thinker, I don't care. It's your business. Once again, for those of you just joining us, where have you been? Man, this is the last 15 minutes. We're in the last segment here. But Happy New Year to everybody out there. Thank you for either being with me last year and joining me for the new year, or for those of you just joining me for the very first time, welcome. One of the things I'm really excited about is as this year unfolds, as 2017 unfolds with this new consulting gig, I get to upgrade a lot of my equipment, which is going to be really, really, really cool. And the best part is I have a legitimate reason for it. So when I go to Amazon or B&H Audio and Video, it's like, hey, honey, I've got a reason. It's for the radio show. Well, in happier news, I got some bad news today, by the way. A friend of mine, a friend and mentor and a true warrior for freedom, he passed away unexpectedly. And, 2016 has been a hell of a year. Former student of mine lost his father unexpectedly. Another friend and mentor, he lost his wife unexpectedly. I mean, it's been one kick in the happy sack after another. And hearing today about a friend of mine passing away in his sleep was just, it was rough. It really was rough. Well, I've got happy news here. This is happy news. It's Charles Manson. Remember Charles Manson? You know, that wacko mass murdering nut job? Well, apparently, according to the news published today, LA Times, Los Angeles Times, this is published actually today, Charles Manson seriously ill, moved to hospital, sources say. This makes me happy. There's some people that just need to die. Charles Manson would be definitely one of them. I think deserves to meet Lucifer and his many demonic demon spawn. Glad to see Castro went away. Now, unfortunately, we also have news about Queen Elizabeth. She's not doing good. She missed the Christmas for the first time in years and New Year's, and so she's not doing well either. Hopefully, she hangs in there and gets better. But Charles Manson, oh man, I'm crossing my fingers on this one. So, mass murderer. And by the way, if you think I'm being rough, if you think I'm being insensitive, the first two words of this article from the LA Times, okay, the first two words from this article are mass murderer. Not much sympathy here in Casa de Ford, here in the classroom, for anybody who begins the article as mass murderer. Mass murderers do not get sympathy, in my opinion. In fact, he's lucky he did this in a place that didn't have a death penalty, which is why he's been around for so long. But Charles Manson, so mass murderer Charles Manson was taken from a Central Valley prison to a hospital for an undisclosed medical issue, two sources familiar with the situation said. By the way, if you're wondering, Charles Manson is 82 years old. The dude is 82 years old. He's born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Why is it the evil people just seem to hang on? I mean, seriously, the evil folks. I mean, like Castro. Castro, man, he lived through how many U.S. presidents? I mean, outlived. Not just like lived through their term, but actually like, outlived as in life. And there's Charles Manson, man, 82 years old, evil still kicking around. But he's brought to a hospital for an undisclosed medical issue. Two sources familiar with the situation said. One of the sources said Manson was seriously ill, but could not provide specific information. No, I hope it's fatal. Ooh, Scott, that's not very nice. Again, first two words that described him in this article were, repeat after me, class, mass murderer. No sympathy there for mass murderers here in the classroom. Officials with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation declined to comment, citing federal and state laws and saying inmates' medical information is private. Ironically, I think that's more privilege than you and I get under Obamacare. We do not disclose inmates' movements for safety and security reasons, said Terry Thornton, a spokeswoman for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations. However, she said he's still alive. Yay. Manson and other members of his so-called family were convicted of killing actress Sharon Tate and 6 other people during a bloody rampage in the Los Angeles area during 2 August nights in 1969. This mass murderer has been around since then. Prosecutors said the Manson and his followers were trying to incite a race war that he believes was in the Beatles song Helter Skelter. Tate, the wife of director Roman Polanski, was 8.5 months pregnant when she was killed at her hilltop home in Benedict Canyon on August 9th, 1969. So this man, this mass murderer, killed a woman and her unborn child. Beside Tate, 4 others were stabbed and shot to death. Jay Sebring, 35, Votek Frykowski, 32, Abigail Folger, 25, a coffee heiress, and Stephen Parent, 18, a friend of Tate's caretaker. The word pig was written on the front door in blood. Again, no sympathy for Manson. Hope whatever he has is painful, lingering, and eventually winds up in his demise. And I'm like, Scott, mass murderer, wrote pig in blood on the front door, killed a woman and her unborn child. Just saying, no sympathy here. The next night, Manson rode along with his followers to Los Feliz home of Leno and Rosemary LeBlanca, had left 3 members to kill the couple. Manson, now 82, has, quote, hundreds of rule violation, prison officials say, and has been in trouble for having a cell phone and a homemade weapon while incarcerated. Manson has been denied parole 12 times. His next parole hearing is scheduled for 2027. I sincerely doubt he'll be making that. And he'll be 92 years old. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Satan loves, man, his people. Maybe the Dark Lord of Evil will give Manson a reprieve. Manson has been in prison since 1971 and is serving his time at Corcoran State Prison. Corcoran State Prison. In 2014, Manson and Afton Ellen Burton, a 26-year-old Manson devotee, were granted a marriage license. Okay, seriously. But it expired before the two married. It's amazing. 2014. Dude is, let's see, how old is this psychopath? He's 82 years old. 82 years old, okay? In 2014, he was still not a spring chicken. And a 26-year-old wanted to marry him. Yeah, I understand this is not rare. I understand that people like on death row and these prisoners, they get like marriage proposals, they get groupies. Parents, you got kind of one job there. And if your child wants to marry an incarcerated mass murderer, I'm thinking you failed at that job. I'm just saying, maybe you should go back for some parenting advice. Last week, state parole officials postponed a decision on setting free Patricia Krenwinkel, a former Manson follower and convicted killer, after the woman's attorney made new claims that she had been abused by Manson or another person. Krenwinkel, I'm probably mispronouncing her name, but don't care, was sent to death row in 1971 after a Los Angeles jury convicted her of killing Tate and 6 others in a 2-day rampage. So we got not Marilyn Manson, different one. Charles Manson, Marilyn Manson. I like his music, by the way. Charles Manson, seriously ill. Let's hope it's painful and it's fatal. He's been married twice. Rosalie Jean Willis from 1955 to 1958. Lenoa Candy Stevens from 1959 to 1963. He's got 3 kids. God, could you imagine being one of his children? I mean, wow. I mean, I don't even know who the kids are, but I mean, let's say the kids turn out fine, right? Could you imagine having that as your father? I mean, is there anybody more reviled? Anybody who can claim to be as evil as Charles Manson? I mean, could you imagine that as a father? I think you got him for Father's Day. You got to give him a Bible, the thing will burst into flames. Oh, man. So Charles Manson, ladies and gentlemen, Charles Manson, born, when was he born? November 12th, 1934. Hey, wait a minute. 11/12, November 12th. My oldest son's sitting over there. Hey, Xander, is there anybody that we know whose birthday is November 12th?
Yeah.
Whose birthday?
Me.
Oh, man, you got the same birthday as Charles Manson, man.
Wait,
different year, though.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Charles Manson, the guy I'm talking about as you're totally ignoring your father. Charles Manson, mass murderer, back in the day, even before our daddy was around. Dude's one of the most evil people that's ever walked the face of the earth in modern times. He wound up going on a killing spree. Born 11/12, but 1934. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make sure your child will have therapy bills. Anyways, guys,
I'm confused.
Yeah, once again, as always, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I will see you on Thursday. Have a wonderful first week of the brand new year. Be safe out there. Hopefully 2017 is a better year than 2016. And if 2016 was a good year for you, I wish you even more prosperity and more luck in this year to come. As always, once again, thank you for joining me. And until later, class dismissed. Goodbye for now.